Welcome to TGIF.
I like things to be black and white, like right or wrong, black or white. But we've all heard about that gray area, or even that fine line between two different things. And I think in our society today, when we do something really good, we get excited, and we want to celebrate and share. But I think there's a fine line that we need to make sure we recognize. Otherwise, that celebrating and sharing turns into an opportunity where we
Takes us to the word of the day, which is brag.
I did this, I did that. Did you see? Versus, by God's grace, I was able to do this or do that. And I know people say, well, they're just saying by God's grace. That was just their way to brag. But if it's really within you, people are going to know.
Yeah,
you're not trying to brag. If it's really within you.
Yeah, they really can tell. And maybe what's the difference is that they have God at the center of that somehow. And they made that connection. So we're looking at Proverbs 27, chapter 27, verse 1. Don't brag about tomorrow, since you don't know what that day will bring. And we fall into that trap so much. It's, we make plans for tomorrow, but we live in a culture that is about productivity versus, really a God moment. And so I think that's the world we live in. And there's nothing wrong, right, with planning for tomorrow and trying to be a little better than you were today and get, a few things done. But it does leave a gap. And it leaves a gap in a very interesting place. And so Solomon leaves us with this verse that reminds us that we should be careful about not bragging about tomorrow. It points us to a very important point, is that we leave room for these God moments, because it's so easy. They happen, and if you're like, but I got to go be more productive, I got to achieve, I got to do this, I don't have time for this, God. This is not going to fit the schedule. And so I think it's important that when we think about how God works, God's the only one that knows about tomorrow. We go to bed saying, well, tomorrow will be a new day. We don't even know we'll wake up tomorrow, right? We've said that. It's like,
bragging
at least
about,
we get a fresh start tomorrow.
Bragging about tomorrow when you're not guaranteed tomorrow. And that routine, we get so much into routine because it's familiar. This is what I do. This is how I do it. This is when I do it. And we're so focused on just the routine that we're not making that space. We've all heard about space for grace, right? We need to, where you have to breathe and give grace into things not going the way you want, but that space for that divine interruption. So God's always with us. We ask, where's God present? God is always present. God is always working. But it's up to us to recognize, because often I really do think He is sending divine interruptions, but we're so busy that we are missing it because we're busy getting to that next thing. Like, can you imagine living a life where everyone around you was constantly bragging about, oh my gosh, God, this divine intervention from God. God did this, God said that. Did you see where God is at? Like, where the bragging became about what God was doing and what God can do in tomorrow versus all about us.
We can't know God's plans. That is for sure. But what we can do is open ourselves up to the potential or the possibility of what God might do in any moment through us. And I think that's the difference. And part of that is surrendering to Jesus, right? You have to have that surrendered spirit to Jesus and be willing to entertain what God wants to accomplish today. And I know that's hard for even me, sitting in the office, trying to work on a lot of different godly things, right? And the doorbell rings to the office, and somebody's there, and they want to have this conversation that could go on for an hour. I'm like, wow, an hour of conversation. But then I always find myself going, wow, I am so thankful, God, that I was able to be there in that moment. So it's kind of this, like you said, that gray area, that line that we've got to leave ourselves open for what God wants to do, not just what we want to accomplish or what we want to brag about.
That's why when you come home at lunch or at the end of the day and I say, so how was your afternoon, or how was your morning? What'd you get done? And you're like, well, because of those divine interruptions. I mean, it really messes up our plan. Our plan. Did you catch that? Our plan. So just that idea of don't get so focused on all the things, you, me, you, all of us, on all the things we can do or have done or will do. Make sure that we're taking that deep breath and asking God, what are you trying to show me? I think we need to wake up every day. God, what do you want to show me today? Where do you want to use me? And then you look for it. Asking God to be present with you, he is. It's that we don't pay attention to him. We should be bragging about the God that is with us everywhere we go. I'm having a really bad day, but God is with me, and he's going to help me get through this.
It's a better way to live your life. It really is, because I know that sometimes that people say, well, what did you get done today? Like you were saying, it's what did God get done through me today? I mean, that's what we need to, at the end of the day, it's really ask ourselves, what did God get done with me today? And sometimes that's caused me to be disappointed in myself, because it's like, man, I really wasn't paying attention to God today. And so then I get hard on myself, but then I go, okay, God, I want to do better. I want to understand your plan for the day. And I think that's when you start to make this shift where you still have a plan, but you lose the priority of your plan versus the priority of God's plan. That needs to take first place.
And sometimes I think it's just the gift of the day. I was sharing last night on Zoom with some ladies that I have so many things in my life going on that are hard. And I get so wrapped up in all the details and controlling, I said it, trying to control, trying to fix everything. And God just spoke to me I gave you today. And in my car, I said, God, you gave me today. It's something about me hearing myself say that. You gave me today as a gift. And I'm trying to fix everything else around me. I have not even thanked you for today and how you're working in today. And that to me was a perspective. And what I was telling the ladies last night, sometimes you got to say it out loud. It might be in you, but when it came out, I did not say, I wasn't thinking I'm going to say this out loud. It's just I blurted it out in the car. And it's you gave me today the gift of today. Why am I trying to fix and control everything around me when I can't? So don't think this is, I don't want to call it rocket science. That doesn't really go with the whole Bible theme. But we get so worked up. Just sit back. Remember what is a given. God is present. God is working. God is with you. It's up to us to have the space to see him, hear him, to allow him to speak through somebody to us. It's up to us, and it's starting with that day. Lord, today, the gift of today, Lord, what would you have me do? Because tomorrow, can't brag about something I don't know is going to happen.
That's right. I like that.
So to leave you with a question, what do your God plans look like for tomorrow? Well, wait a second. You said don't worry about tomorrow. Meaning, are you already praying about and imagining what God can do tomorrow? When you go to bed, Lord, I can't wait to see what you'll do tomorrow. And then the prayer of that you wake up tomorrow, of course, but learn to brag about what God is doing and what God can do and has done. And maybe that'll get us out of our own bragging rights. Our bragging rights should be all about God. So next week will be our last episode in Proverbs. So go ahead and read Proverbs 30 through 31, and we'll see you next time on TGIF. Bye.